Hello, we are live. I'm talking like live. We are live. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Tuesdays with Tally. This is episode number 6, and I'm your host, Brian Tally, on a back to back Tuesday. The mission and the goal of this podcast is to bring an engaging conversation that will add value to the lives of everyday people. We will inspire, encourage, educate, and tell the stories of some of America's finest men and women in an effort to motivate you to live your life to its fullest potential. Be sure to follow us on social media and on Spotify. The online information and handles are all located on the scrolling ticker at the bottom portion of your screen. Be sure to like and share the program as well. Folks, we have a very special guest joining us on today's program, but first, a word from our sponsor. Are you looking for a photographer and are based in the Houston, Texas area? Then look no further than John Steelman Photography. John Steelman Photography is a veteran-owned small business that takes great pride in capturing those special moments in time. For an everlasting memory, no job too big or too small. For all your photography needs, check out John Steelman Photography today. Visit him online at johnsteelman.com. That's johnsteelman.com. Folks, it's not every day you have the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with a man like our next guest. I will guarantee that this episode will keep you fully engaged as we dive into some of America's most dangerous and horrifying trades that many of you may not even be aware of. And this is all happening right before our very eyes and is open for everyone to see. However, most are blind to the fact or just naive to this very alarming trend that continues to plague our nation and endanger our country's most vulnerable people, and that is our children. Before we get started on this important and very educational episode, I want to give you some background on our guest today, Craig the Sawman Sawyer. Craig served 16 years in the military. He is a Marine veteran, a former Navy SEAL, a sniper, and a combat instructor. Sawyer is also the owner of Tactical Insider, which brings technical advice on weapons and combat to Hollywood films and actors. Sawyer began his military career in the United States Marine Corps in 1983 and later joined the U.S. Navy in July of 1986 to pursue a career in special operations as a Navy SEAL. Sawyer deployed during the Gulf War. He then went on to serve with SEAL Team 1, then on to the elite Naval Special Warfare Development Group, commonly known as SEAL Team 6. Throughout his career, Sawyer has become an expert in several military and combat disciplines like shooting, counter-terrorism, surveillance, and counter-surveillance. In addition to his military career, he served as high-threat mobile security operations for the U.S. State Department in Iraq in 2004 and 5. Sawyer served as an agent in charge. Sawyer was also responsible for securing other U.S. dignitaries and Department of State personnel during their visits to that high-threat war zone region. Sawyer founded Tactical Insider to provide training and technical advice to films, actors, and political clients. He has contributed to news shows like Fox News and CBS Evening News with Katie Couric. He has also been a frequent contributor on History Channel's show Sniper Deadliest Missions. In 2017, Sawyer founded Veterans for Child Rescue, V4CR, a nonprofit organization designed to help raise awareness of child sex trafficking and create a non-permissive environment for child exploitation in the United States. Through his efforts with Veterans for Child Rescue, Sawyer began production on a documentary film to highlight the challenges of law enforcement in the fight to end the exploitation of children. His documentary titled Contraland was launched to the public on May 8th of 2020 online at contralandmovie.com. What an incredible resume here. I mean, I'm just tongue-tied twisters. This resume, folks, this is half of what this man has done in his life. And he has dedicated his life to service. With that, we welcome the man himself, Craig, the Saw Man Sawyer. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Brian, I'm well. I'm glad to be on with you, brother. So let's have some fun talking about something that people need to learn about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. First of all, we've been connected, for several years now. I met you at the Honor Cafe.
Which is the best place to eat in all of Texas, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Honor Cafe, Craig Sadler there in Conroe, Texas. It is a great place. It is a museum, if you will. It is a great place to go to hang out with like-minded people, grab some great food, break bread with folks like yourself, and really, enjoy the time, that we have with each other here, when we're sharing a meal, and to hear the stories of some of the people that go on there are truly remarkable.
Yeah. And the food's ridiculous. He's an amazing cook there. Anyway, yeah, that's a great place to meet, brother.
Yes, for sure. So, we've known each other for a few years now, and we've kept in touch, and, we've become pretty good friends. And, that means a lot to me, in that relationship. And, over the years, I've seen what you've been doing. You are very actively, raising awareness for what's going on in this country when it comes to protecting our most vulnerable, and that's children, and that's children trafficking. Can you explain a little bit about Veterans for Child Rescue?
Yeah, man. Well, look, I grew up just north of Houston, and it was a friend of mine. After all this time and different aspects of our government in defense of our nation against terrorism, I started learning that the northern area, the northern part of Houston, is the most trafficked area for children in the continental United States. And I started learning what a dark and heinous crime this actually is, and that it is spiritual at its root. Now, you've got a bunch of different reasons why people harm children. Some people are just mentally ill. Some are sexually deranged, which is another form of mental illness. Some are just sociopaths. They don't care. So they'll sell children the way that they would a narcotic or anything else, any other contraband. But then there's the darkest, most despicable element of it. And there are people that, for them, it's a religion, and they still subscribe to ancient, it's just really different titles for Satan, in my opinion, ancient biblical gods that demand that they put children through unspeakable torture and harm. And that these people believe that they get special privileges, if you will, from the dark side for doing that. So when you have this huge crime cabal, when I started learning it was $38 to $50 billion a year criminal enterprise inside the United States selling children, and that if it's closer to that 50 into the bracket than the 38, which I believe it is now, absolutely, if not higher, now that the border is completely wide open because we do operations down there with law enforcement, then that would make it bigger than all pro sports combined in annual revenue. Well, that's not some small crime, and that's certainly not just somewhere far away. So that's in virtually every community in our country now. So we've got local gangbangers, Crips and Bloods, and every other which kind of gang selling children now. Sometimes children selling themselves, family, parents selling their children. The MS-13 selling them, the Mexican drug cartel selling them. And so it's at industrial scale, Brian. And that's why I decided, and especially when I started learning that the rancid core of it really is, there's a spiritual push to do this. I'm like, my dad was a strong pastor, spiritual leader in Spring, Texas, House of Faith Church for many decades. And a lot of people around there still know him and love him. And he ministered to people in the hospitals, and he used to go to Win Unit at Huntsville State Prison and minister to the prisoners there. And I mean, he just changed a lot of lives. He would have never stood for this. And so I realized, Brian, that I had to become more of a spiritual warrior. Stand up against this in the way that it takes to combat something that's spiritually motivated. So I founded Vets for Child Rescue. We started running joint ops with federal and local law enforcement, arresting the child predators physically, putting them in prison, which is important, making the documentary Contraland to alert the populace about what they don't know, but also praying and gathering prayer groups and going after the bigger picture of the root cause of this. And so that's the kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, there's no doubt we are in a spiritual war right now. There is good, there is evil that exists in this world, in this country. And it is scary, especially for a guy like me. I've got 4 children. But the majority of the people that are living their everyday lives that have kids, they're naive to this fact. And they don't even really know it's going on. If they don't see it, it's not at their local Starbucks or whatever it may be, they tune it out. What is something that like an average
look, I had an above top secret clearance for over 30 years. I didn't know. I didn't know until 8 years ago. And I'd been to 60 countries around the world. I'd seen a lot of harm and a lot of abuse, but yeah, this crime enjoys a lot of top cover. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no. So so a lot of this stuff, was coming from the top down, and perhaps blind eyes are being turned, and that's what makes this even more of a disgusting, sick, twisted, demented act to do this. Now, I wanted to get back to identifying what this looks like.
Yeah.
The average person in America, they get up, they go to work, they go to Starbucks, they go to the gym, they go to lunch, they take their kid to soccer, baseball practice, and then they're at home, they're watching show, dinner, and bed. So if they don't see it every day, if they don't live it every day, if they don't breathe it every day, they may not realize it when it's perhaps right underneath their nose, or perhaps going on right in their own grocery store parking lot. Is there a way that you could help educate my listeners? Is there a way that you could help identify what this looks like?
Yeah, if I could put magic glasses on everybody and they could see everybody that was involved in it, it would stun them, and they'd probably just have an emotional breakdown. But one way is to get in your children's smart devices. Get on our website, v4cr.org. Look at the tools that we have there. There's a lot of problematic apps that are very dangerous for your child to have on their phone. They're vulnerable on their Xbox games and on their laptop computers too. Any smart device that's capable of getting on the internet, your child is potentially subjected to full-grown predatory adults tricking your child. And so some of these apps, your child may think that they're talking to another child, and the other child may be a full-grown predatory adult, because there's millions, if not billions, of images out there of children, every size, shape, and age, and video too. And so the predators can pretend to be anybody, strike up a friendship with your child, and then lure your child into behavior that is compromising. They can either pretend to be another child, trading apps for games or special points for games that they play, or I want to meet you at the corner of the playground, or, where do you check the mail? I think I live in your neighborhood, all this kind of thing, where your child could toddle out of the house or walk out and be abducted. Or if your child's older than, elementary school, they may be lured into sharing inappropriate videos or photos of themselves, because the predator may pretend to be, let's say it's a son of yours, Brian, and he's a young man. He hasn't started dating yet. Some cute girl says, "Hey, I'm new at your school. Will you be my friend?" And then after a period of days or weeks, maybe she starts showing him revealing pictures of herself and says, "Hey, will you do the same for me? I want to trust you. And maybe he does, because you don't know what to do. And then the predator's got those pictures of him and says, "Hey, look, dude." And maybe he doesn't even reveal himself as an adult yet, but he may say, "Hey, show me more, or show me video, or I'm going to show your parents, or I'm going to put it on the internet, or I'm going to show the whole school." And children, maybe your boy's terrified, Maybe he gives video, and then the predator says, give more, give more. The predator's selling that on the internet. There's millions of perverts having nude video of your child just that way. So there's stuff like that. They could also geolocate your child. So it could be surreptitiously capturing video while your child's talking to someone or playing a game, or taking images. Your child doesn't know it. Or it could be geolocating. So the predator can literally be watching a map and watching where the dot is pinging on his map wherever your child is, carrying your phone around. He doesn't realize it's transmitting. So those are just some examples of ways that your children can be and are often targeted, and they don't know about it. So you need to know which apps are harmful. Go to v4cr.org, review those. It's just a starter list. It's certainly not all of the problem apps, but it'll get you started. Get into your children's phones, find out who they're talking to, which apps are on there. You have to invade their privacy enough nowadays to make sure that they live, that they survive to get to 18. Because even if the predator doesn't lure your child out of the house, what if your child takes their own life, like so many of them do, because the threats, and your child thinks he's dishonored his family, or she thinks she's dishonored her family, and she doesn't see any way past it, and the obstacles seems insurmountable, and she's so stressed out, or he's so stressed out with anxiety, they don't know what to do, and they take their own lives. It happens all the time.
So is this childhood
that's a big way
linked to blackmail, perhaps? So
there's a lot of sextortion.
Okay, so
and people, the children do it to each other. High school age, there's a lot of sextortion. So you have to understand, you have to teach your children about it so that they understand that game, that ugly, potentially dangerous game, the deadly game, and know not to get caught up in it, because they don't know. They don't know, have any idea what's coming. And there's artificial intelligence. To the same way that when you start talking about, you want a new golf club or something, next thing you know, you go text me a message, or you get on an app and golf club advertisement starts popping up of the exact same club you're talking about. Whoa, hold it. What's going on there? Well, it's artificial intelligence. It's listening to your voice. It's remembering what you click on, what ads, and it's just building this database that's accelerating in its intelligence of what you're about as a customer. It's not necessarily hostile, but if it's used in hostile hands, boy, it could be absolutely fatal. So that's working against our children as well. The artificial intelligence is a growing and absolutely tremendous threat.
Where do you see this going, Craig? And we right now our border is completely porous. We've got major problems going on our border. A lot of these children that are coming in aren't necessarily American children. A lot of these are coming in from Mexico, from Central America, and I believe they're kidnapped and they're sold into the slave trade. This is actually really going on in the United States of America. When I think of this, I think third world.
Look, it's going on at industrial scale. You talk to anybody that's in law enforcement anywhere near the border, they'll tell you an absolute nightmare scenario. That law enforcement's hands are tied. Our agencies are not talking to each other. Like in Texas, the DPS, they're great, but they're not talking to the Border Patrol. The Border Patrol, they're great, but their hands are tied. They're not defending our border anymore. They're ordered to assist, to escort the criminal invaders, the illegal immigrants into our United States. Instead of stopping them, they're ordered to take them and help them come in, make sure they're safe, make sure they're comfy, make sure they have their packet of benefits, and get on a taxpayer-funded bus or aircraft deep into all the states, into the United States. So it's government-assisted illegal immigration. It's really, folks, when you analyze it honestly, it is an invasion. Our tax dollars are paying for it. So it doesn't make any sense until you know a lot of the legends in the national security space that can break it down for you and say, look, this is a Cloward Piven strategy of breaking the economy by overloading all of the social programs. That's why we're sending billions of billions to Ukraine. And we're like, the one aspect of our government just wants to spend money like there's no tomorrow. Why? Because they're trying to literally break the economy. They want to give money to everything, everyone, and they want to take it from the strong. They want to weaken our culture and flood our country with people that don't believe the way that we do, because that's how they usher in the control that they're after. This is a takeover. This is a silent coup to overthrow the United States without firing a shot, as the Soviets said that they would do back in the 50s. And it was read before Congress in 1963, the 45 communist goals of overthrowing the United States without firing a shot. We refer to it now as Generation 5 warfare. That's what's happening. And the first rule of warfare is to realize you're in one. And most Americans are still not educated and informed that they're under invasion and under attack, and that there's a reason why their children are being groomed in schools by perverts. And then there's a reason that the hundreds of child trafficking arrests at a time by U.S. Marshal Service and other agencies are not announced on the evening news. Oh, sure, you'll find them in the local paper, maybe, or some articles. You won't see them on CNN or Fox News headline. Why? Hundreds of child predator arrests. That's major. That's global news. They don't talk about it. Why? We need to start asking these questions. I know why, but everybody needs to know why. Fentanyl. Fentanyl is killing hundreds of thousands of people. We were in Vietnam for over 10 years. We lost 50-something thousand. Fentanyl's killing more than that a year. And why does nobody care? Well, because they want the border down. They want the United States to fall. Why are they squandering our wealth? Why did they end our energy independence? Why did they end it? Day one, boom, executive order, stop the energy independence. Who would do that except an enemy? And once we realize, oh my God, these people they're hostile to you and me. They're hostile to our freedom and liberty. Yeah, they are. Once you realize that's the situation, you turn the game board around, what they're doing makes perfect sense. You're like, oh my God, they're destroying everything. Yeah, nobody's that stupid, Brian. Nobody's that bad. All right. They were put in those positions to do exactly what they're doing.
So what do you think the motivation is? I mean, really, at the end of the day, like, what's the motivation of these people?
You got a global push for power, and the first to gain power of a strong nation like the United States, founded on Judeo-Christian values. Love your brother like you love yourself. Work hard. Love your children. Teach them the way that they should go, right? Honor your country, like our patriotism, our love for the freedom and liberty that our founding fathers gave us. That unity is all what's under attack. The strong alpha male, the head of the family, right? The church, all those institutions are under attack. Why? Because that's what made this country insurmountable, undefeatable. Militarily, they couldn't beat us with tanks, planes, and guns. They knew it. They admitted it. And they said that they were going to do it quietly without firing a single shot. That is the motivation, Brian. That is what they have been doing since before I was born. I was born in 1963. This was already underway then. Yuri Bezmenov gave some brilliant lectures. I pray that you listen to him now. I've posted it hundreds of times. Yuri Bezmenov's lectures on ideological subversion. Please listen. It'll make sense. Type into any search engine the word 45 communist goals, and just click on a couple of those links and read that list of goals that was read before Congress in 1963. We've known that they were attacking, and we've done nothing. Collectively, we haven't done enough to stop it. And they've accomplished all those 45 goals by now, folks. It's done. So it's checkmate. The board's been checkmated. They've got their people in charge. We have to climb back out of the hole now. We have to somehow vote them out of office. If we can achieve a fair voting system and get what we're voting for anymore, and if we'll show up and vote, we can get them out and get honorable people who will act in good faith when nobody's looking and actually serve we the people, and maybe we can turn this around. But what does it look like? It looks like us learning that we're under attack, Brian, and that we've got to roll our sleeves up and get active. The other side, they're all about activists and activation. We don't like conflict. So on the right, the conservative patriots, we don't like being activists because we don't like the conflict. We just want to live our lives, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong? We want to have some barbecue and some peace. We work hard and then we want to play hard. And that's it. Well, guess what? They won't freaking let us. They won't leave us alone. They'll never stop encroaching and attacking and taking and taking and taking because it's satanic. Look, Karl Marx was a Luciferian. That's where this whole big globalist, Marxist, communist, socialist concept comes from a very sick guy who literally worshiped evil. Very sick, miserable, alcoholic, failed man who was jealous and wanted what he didn't work for. You can't punish productive people and reward unproductive people and end up with a productive society. Humans don't work that way.
And that's where we are right now in a country right now. I've never seen, I never thought we would ever see the United States stand down. We're standing down on our border. We stood down in Afghanistan 1 year ago today when we saw an absolute disgusting pullout. I think one of the worst pullouts that it was
a disaster
in our country.
Look, we know how to withdraw from wars, Brian.
They know how to do it
all along. We know how to do it, but our hands were tied. It was done to us. And we have to realize that we have to take it back. We can peacefully and legally take it back, but we do have to be educated. We have to be coordinated on it.
So what does this look like? God needs to be with us. So what does this look like? We're in a spiritual war right now. We've got a lot of stuff going on in our country that is no good. It doesn't really seem like it's going to get any better anytime soon on a lot of different levels. If it's economy, if it's anything really, drugs, the war on everything is as high as it's ever really been in our country. People are getting sick and tired. They're getting depressed. Their bodies are anxiety riddled. These folks are feeling hopeless. They're feeling helpless. I get calls every day from people. Brian, what do I do? What can we do?
Yeah, here's what we do.
They don't really know how to help. How can we help?
Yeah, here's what we can do. First of all, realize God is in charge. Ultimately, pray. Right? Realize that that this life is a test, and we can't change the world, but we can do our best through these bad times, and be proud of that when we stand before God Almighty on Judgment Day. So pray up, read up. The Bible is how God talks to us, and so we have to realize first things first with this election, we have to get what we're voting for. We can't get what we're voting for if it's not an honest and fair election. So we have to have oversight. We have to have scrutiny of the process. We can't allow electronic machines and all the manners by which someone could cheat. So we have to have eyes on. We cannot certify and allow any election results unless there is public oversight and scrutiny of the process so that we know that it's fair. That's job one. Okay. So then we can at least get what we vote for. And we have to show up to vote too. We can't sit on the sidelines and watch the gladiators fight and go, well, we lost. I guess they're going to burn us alive now. I mean, we have to get involved in the process. That's the kind of country we were blessed with, where we get to be in charge if only we'll bother to drop our vote. We bother to pay attention to who's got the moral character and integrity to serve you in good faith in your district or state, and make sure that you do all that you can to ensure that they get in there, not just vote, but network and protest when need be peacefully, but get involved. There's a lot of ways that you can leverage your will to put pressure on your elected officials to serve you in good faith better than they have been. So that you can do that. You can teach your children. You can watch Contraland. Go to contralandmovie.com. It'll give you an education on what this globalist cabal is doing with children and what that looks like and a little bit of what to do about it. Contralandmovie.com. And realize that, look, the other side they're masters at being activists and community organizers from the ground up, from the bottom up. We need to do the same thing and take back over from the neighborhood level all the way back up to the presidency. Okay. Fight for your neighborhood, fight for your PTA, fight for your homeowners association seats, get good quality people with sound moral standards and character and integrity back in those positions, and just keep going up the chain. Dr. Shiva went to Harvard and I think MIT, and he's got multiple master's degrees. And he said, look, these global elite, they run the globe with different systematic processes that he goes, I learned all the same system science and all the same universities. It's the same thing. We need to learn to use the same systematic approach to restore power back to the working class. We, the working class, the people that are invested in this nation, that love this nation, that don't want to see it sold out and burned to the ground, care about it, and we have practical solutions. We need to restore power back. Just the last 20 years, so much of the power has gone from the middle class up to the top fraction of the 1%. I mean, if you could look on a chart where the power's gone to, it's not the way this country has ever been. I mean, it's been a radical shift in the last 20 years.
I mean, from what I've seen, we the people, it really is no longer we the people. When people begin to fear their government, that we the people really no longer coincides with what's going on. And I now know for the first time in my 45 years that people do fear their government, and the government knows it, and the government has doubled down. They've hired 82,000 IRS agents. They're coming for your guns. They're coming for your money, and they are not going to be afraid to knock on your door. And the problem is now that it seems as if the FBI, the DOJ, everybody has become politicized. You've got child trafficking that's going on in this country. You've got fentanyl crossing the border at an all-time high, killing people between the ages of 18 and 36 at an all-time high. I think it's the #1 cause of death now in the country. It's fentanyl between those ages. We have got a spiritual war going on. We have got people losing their jobs. We have got people that can't afford to buy food, put clothes on their kids. The economy is going to start to go down, as it already has started to go down because of inflation, and we can't continue to spend our way out of this mess. Where do we go from here? What do we do? I mean, do we just get up in the morning and keep going to work and just keep praying that things are going to get better, or just by being an advocate and getting up every day and just trying to shine a light on the darkness of this?
Here's one good place. I like Dr. Shiva's approach. So how you can learn about that is go to vashiva.com/join. So vashiva.com/join. He teaches the systems science approach to restoring power back to the middle class. It's a long game, but it's one that's needed. And so
it's vashiva.com/join. And so he really, I think it's SHIVA. Let me check real quick. So your time, as a Marine, I mean, you were a Marine sniper. You were, a part of.
Yes, SHIVA, brother.
SHIVA. Okay.
Yeah.
IVA. Your time in the military, I know you were a part of a lot of, special operations and, things like that. Looking back on your career, I mean, you've done a lot. You've been a public servant nearly your whole life, and you still give back every single day to your community on the front lines of exposing this horrible, dark underworld of child trafficking. Give me an idea of what it was like back when you were serving as a Marine and a Navy SEAL and doing the things that you saw back then, and then kind of fast forward to where you are now.
Yeah, well, it's a privilege to serve. I mean, I grew up as King David, as this warrior model of a godly warrior. And he went big, and that's what I wanted. And so I went into the Marine Corps because that was the toughest service branch. And I figured, well, if they're special forces or the force recon guys, that's who I figure out I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And because I grew up fighting martial arts tournaments and, playing 5A football there and, the strong side linebacker. And I liked the tough guy life. And that's what I wanted to go do. So I went in the Marine Corps and they weren't doing anything with force recon right then. They're like, well, we don't have any budget for them. There's no political backing. You should have gone to the Navy because the SEAL team is the one with all the toys and they get all the cool operations and all that stuff. And I said, well, then I guess I better go there. So I got out of the Marine Corps, went to the Navy, went SEAL team and started operating, man. And I liked it. I was only going to do it for 4 or 5 years and then just have that. If I lived through it, have that as an experience under my belt for the rest of my life. And, I was reading the stories about the Navy SEALs in Vietnam and what steely-eyed killers they were. And that just resonated with me and just really taking it to the bad guys. I always loved a story when the good guys just absolutely crushed the bad guys and that when the bully got his, and then,
yes, sir.
Yeah. So, I climbed the ladder in counter-terrorism realm and trying to stop terrorism from coming here and ruining the freedom and liberty that I grew up in and loved. And then, and there's all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, we set some world records as highest team free fall with full combat equipment. And, it's just stuff there. There's operational stuff that happens that is fantastic. There's training stuff that you get ready for contingencies that you'll never speak about for the rest of your life unless that contingency gets executed one day and then declassified. But there's just stuff that you do in war zones and operations that you enjoy these experiences with your brothers. And it's something that, you just memories that are very unique that you treasure, but all in the effort to stop terrorism, stop Americans from being terrorized. And Brian, I got to tell you, it was painful when I learned that children were being terrorized in the United States the whole time behind my back, right under our noses. In a lot of cases, that's worse than what I was seeing overseas. And I wasn't okay with it. And that's when I'm like, well, this is my mission now. I can't learn about that and turn away. Oh yeah, it's an industrial scale, torturing children to death, essentially in the United States. Oh, it's unfortunate for those children. Too bad. Let me go serve ice cream or something. For me, that wasn't an option. I felt a burden, a personal calling to confront this with whatever warriorhood I had left in me. And I'll tell you this, I'm more powerful as a warrior now than I ever was, because this war isn't really about physical weapons. It's not about the belt-fed machine guns and rockets and all that. This is about understanding the conflict between good and evil and finding ways to interdict the enemy's operations, to disrupt Satan's war on children is what it is. And the biggest up yours to this evil that enjoys impunity under this cover of darkness is to rip away that cover of darkness, to shine the light. Boy, there's a biblical weapon for you. Shine the light. And we do that in the form of documentary content and radio show and podcast and television series and documentary series and social media ads and post every day and billboards and NASCAR placement and word of mouth. You better not sit next to me on an aircraft or in an Uber or something like that, because I'm going to be telling you all about Vets for Child Rescue and how to help
I love it.
children,
We need advocacy going on in this country, and I've got some experience in advocacy too, and it is definitely not a job that, is fun. It chooses you, obviously, and God puts us on these paths to bring out who we are, and what our mission and what our purpose will be in this life. I want to try to figure this out a little bit with the whole child trafficking. Like, how does this even begin to, like, who is behind this all? Like, I mean, is there a warehouse somewhere that they bring all these kids to? I mean, are they kidnapped? Are they sold? I mean, I just don't understand, because I guess I am naive to this, because I am a guy that's just gotten up every day and has gone to soccer and baseball practice, and you work, and you don't really take time to look around and see what's really going on until you really start to understand it. And when you do, it's very scary.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, we better start asking some real hard questions and demanding where they're flying all the children to from the border, because they're doing that on covert aircraft, sometimes with hand painted tail numbers, in the way that you would drop a dope load in the middle of the night. So we all need to start demanding more about what's going on there. You can go to DFW and go through their airport and sometimes see these CIA type aircraft with just complete white aircraft with just full of non-Americans that all have the same issued black bags and white socks and flip-flops and sweatpants and a t-shirt and fresh dental work. They all have the same, fresh dental work, and they don't speak English, and they're kind of lost, and they're herded around. Like, what are they doing with? Where are all these people coming from, and why are they bumping commercial airlines off of their gates at DFW in broad daylight and herding these people around? If it's supposed to be a secret, they're not that worried about getting caught, because I mean, some of it seems pretty overt. But
well, it seems like the majority of everything that goes on anymore is pretty much right in your face. I mean, really, nobody really tries to hide anything anymore. And I mean, that's from what I've seen, not from child trafficking. I'm just saying, just the broad, spectrum of things that people are just out doing it, and they don't care because they're above the law, or they just know that they won't be accountable for anything that they do wrong. Again, it's it is completely disciplining the people that are doing everything right and rewarding everybody that's been doing everything wrong.
Yeah, well, that's true too. So this crime has many forms. One form looks like Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell hosting parties in mansions in New York and on islands and resorts where they fly targeted individuals or global elite, which really a lot of people are figuring out now are a global cult. Really, a lot of these people, we're finding out increasingly, are members of a Luciferian cult. And that's why the children, they're all about the children. It's that's the rancid inner workings of their culture, is this whole thing that they do to children. Satan's up yours to God, really. Satan's war on children is at the center of their culture. So that's why a lot of times they pick each other for these positions and stuff like that. Once you're compromised, let's say you go to a party, Brian, you run for Senate. Let's just pick a typical scenario. You run for Senate, you go up to DC, they invite you to a party. It's a big mansion, private party. There's every manner of hookers and below. And then, if they've kind of studied you a little bit and to see what you're about. And if you're wandering around, there's, whatever you want, you're probably drinking and then end up upstairs in the back bedroom, master bedroom, when the whole house is wired with covert cameras, right? So you're up there and you have sex with whomever. Well, they're probably going to be underage. And if you're a douchebag, you'll choose one that's very young. And if you're too drunk, they'll send you one that's underage. And anyway, they've got you on video. And so whoever holds that video pulls your strings as an elected official from that day forward or night forward. And so that's called a brownstoning operation in the intelligence community. It's done all the time. And that's why if you see a rep from your district or state that goes to DC and they don't honor what they were going to run on, they said, I'm going to run on this, these issues, and they vote for the other thing instead, it's because they're on video raping small boys or girls by people like Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. That's why you're not going to see anything bad happen to Epstein, Maxwell, or their clients. We're worried. We're wondering where are their clients list? Why aren't they getting raided instead of Donald Trump? Well, because they're part of the global cult that are all in on it together. They're all in on raping children and trafficking children.
This just makes my blood boil. And for folks that are out there, it's like every single time you try to have just a simple conversation about something like this, everybody says, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theory. Oh, God, you're this and that. Oh, you're crazy and this and that." Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, until Jeffrey Epstein ends up dead in his jail cell.
I mean, come on, guys. This guy here, think he knows a few things, right? I mean, not just your time as a Marine and as a Navy SEAL, but working within, the State Department. Working, counter surveillance, counter-terrorism, surveilling. You understand the enemy, you understand the movement, and when I hear these horrifying ideas and ways that they can maneuver like this, the enemy, coming from a man such as yourself, who is a warrior, who's very educational, and has a wealth of knowledge and experience, it's frightening. It is frightening what's going on in the political realm in this country, and to really think the banana republic, third world kind of country where we're headed here. And guys, we're not crazy people here, right?
Yeah. Well, look, it is hard for people to process too much in one sitting.
It is.
So, I was working in the intelligence community, Brian, when I learned a lot about what was going on right when Obama was running for office. That's when some legends in the intelligence community slid me a couple Post-it notes and said, you need to start researching some of this, Saw. And these guys have been around. They've been part of every major conflict, and on the sexiest end of it, like the problem solving end of it. And these are guys that people write books about and make fancy blockbuster movies about. And I started watching some documentaries and reading, and my blood was boiling. And I ran around telling my friends and family, and people were looking at me like deer in the headlights.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since then, 80 or 90% of what I was telling them has demonstrated itself, has played out, so they can see, that now so much is common knowledge that I was initially trying to tell them. So here's what I can do. I don't want people scared. We do need to be concerned, because we are absolutely under hostile attack. And yes, they have taken over all the key positions they need to take everything from us. So we do have to get them back out and put people back in. But here's what I want you to be concerned, not fearful. Okay. Realize your creator made you. Your job is just to stay faithful and do the right thing at every step. So whether or not Rome falls or whatever is not so much your concern, other than if you stay faithful as a human to your creator. So that's number one, to take a lot of the stress off. That we want to save our country and the future for our children. You bet your booty we do. Absolutely. So let's set about it. And how do we set about it? Well, one foot in front of the other. Same way you eat an elephant. So network. You can go to that vashiva.com/join, learn about a systematic approach. Okay. And here's the biggest thing. When Bill Clinton got in, before all his scandals started coming out, people are saying, character doesn't matter for president, just the economy. And they perceived that the economy was good enough when he was president. So they said, character doesn't matter. What do we care? Well, integrity, moral conviction, and character of the individual is the only thing that will cause them to act in good faith when nobody's watching.
See, that's the key thing.
That's why we need them.
In good faith.
That's who we have to elect. Find people of strong moral character and integrity, and make sure you get them in office and watch things change. You can't let the other side choose and put their douchebags in there, or everything's going to continue to get torn down like it would in a monkey house, right? So we have to fight back and put quality people in.
Yeah,
more quality people need to run.
just, do what we do, right? We live an honorable life. We contribute in a positive way to society. We do everything right. And that's what we're going to continue to do, because we don't quit, and we are fighters, and, we are leaders. Not just our communities and states, but, the country. I mean, especially you are a national leader, a worldwide leader. I mean, you are the man. I mean, hell, you're the saw man. And and just hearing these things, and just it really is truly horrifying. But there is some hope. There is going to be a brighter day. The sun will come up tomorrow, and when it does, it'll be beautiful. And we just need to hope and pray that the tide will turn here, and that things will start to look up again. But every single time I look at seeing what's going on, and people are always like, oh man, we're in some really bad times and this and that, I've always gone back on history, and we've kind of been in really bad times forever.
Look, really bad times are really great opportunity for good people to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people tell me, Craig, I wish I could be a hero. I wish I could save somebody. I wish I could do something big. I'm like, you can. There's need everywhere. You can't swing a dead cat by the tail, for one crude expression, without hitting the problem that needs to be solved. There are people in need, man. There are things that you can do, everybody, each in your own way. And, you gave me kind compliments a while ago. I'm just a busted up veteran doing what I can. But I'll tell you what, the best title, the best role I've ever served in, the most treasured, is a humble servant for God Almighty. I would rather be a shoeshine boy for the creator of the universe than, on a king's throne in Satan's wicked realm, and be the king of the world here on earth, because I see how it works spiritually. I thank God that I had a father that taught me, and that I can read for myself how things work. And a friend of mine was telling me recently, he goes, Craig, God is using you. Do you realize what a privilege to have the creator of the entire universe, of everything, use you even for a minute, for anything? And he's using them. Like, brother, I know it. And it is humbling. It brings me to my knees. So humbling. I'm grateful for it. But guess what? The God's not limited where he can only use one person over here, one person over there. He has the capacity to use every single human on earth if they are willing to serve, and they ask him if they can serve. Because I'd rather be a hood ornament on God's freight train, right, than be the commander of Satan's army. Because he cannot be beaten. He already wins. It's already pre-written. So that's what I'm excited about, is just being able to serve, just being a humble servant and going, God, what can I do? Can I help you with down here in any way with the children? Because it breaks my heart as a veteran. Is there something I can do, God? Please let me help.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're all called to serve. And whether you decide to pick up that phone and answer that call to service is up to you. That's what I tell folks all the time. Oh, I've never been called to serve. Well, yeah, you have. You just haven't seen it. You got to start opening your eyes. You got to start feeling things. You got to connect. You got to connect. And once you get that connection and you get that energy and then you get that flow, you will have all the, everything will come to you. Like, for an example, I'm on a podcast right now. I was out on a walk 2 weeks ago, and everybody's been trying to tell me, hey, you need to start a podcast. And I'm like, well, I don't know what I would talk about or whatever. Well, God said, hey, it's time. It is time. You're going to start a podcast, and I'm going to get you squared away. Well, I did a Facebook Live once, twice, and then all of a sudden now I've got the whole setup going, and I love it. And it's given me some new, some new purpose and some new passion. I've been super happy and excited about it. It's as if I've got another full-time job here to help keep me busy. But the main reason why to do this is to help other veterans out and to help really everybody, to add value to the lives of everyday people, to everyday Americans, to give them inspiration and motivation and dedication and determination and drive, and tell them that you can do it, and show them, be
Yeah,
a
you're showing
living
them
and
they can do
walking
it.
testament to just being positive and living just a you know in a, an honorable lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing now. And and I've reached out to folks like you, and and to many others, and said, hey, look, what can you do to add some value to my everyday listeners? What can you do to help inspire someone that's listening right now? We've got 5 minutes left, so I got to get this thing wrapped up. But on the closing remarks, Craig, what can people do to help? If you got an inspirational word out there, some motivation, if you've got something on child trafficking, how do you want to close this thing out?
Well, look, a lot of people have been conditioned. We as humans get very conditioned to our routines, and our history kind of shapes how we think, and the surroundings and everything kind of shape the way that we think, and therefore the way we look at the future and the way that we go into the future. And if we realize that if we want a better future, if we do what's biblical, and we forgive, and we put ourselves in an attitude of thanksgiving and praise, our body chemistry changes, our brainwave activity changes, and we see the future differently. We see it better, and we move into it with more power and more authority, and we attract more success and effectiveness to us. And that is all straight from the Bible, folks. If you don't think the creator of every molecule in your body, and the one that holds you together at the subatomic particle level, knows how you function, you'd be wrong. He knows. And he gave us, do I have it in here? No, it's in the other room.
Yeah. It's just gratitude.
It's in the Bible. Be thankful.
Oh yeah.
And you'll be amazed at how your attitude can improve, and how you can heal from trauma. You can heal from betrayal, and whatever's behind you, you can put in its proper place and not let it poison you in the future. So move forward in that way, and go identify what you want to do in the situation. Okay, is this world full of challenges? Yes, it is. Pick your shots.
Yeah.
Make your positive impact, be grateful for it, and repeat. And you will be glad that you did. Watch Contraland, share it with everybody you care about, and empower them. That'll feel good, because they'll be more protected and more powerful for having known it. And start holding the doors open for people, and just doing good wherever you can, and build on it. Make it your culture.
Again, it's just being a contributor to society. It's doing the right thing when no one's looking, right? It's, look, I admire you. I respect you. You are a very strong man, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. You are as strong as they come. You are the grit and the true determination, and a true fighter. You are a fighter. I can't thank you enough.
And the lover.
For coming on with me tonight to talk for an hour, just kind of like open mic night, if you will.
Yeah.
It's to share some of the stuff that's going on out there, and how people can get involved with your organization there. But hey, man, keep up the good work and what you're doing in the community and in the country, and what you're doing on the border. And just know that your work, it certainly does not go unnoticed. And that I'm praying for you all the time, and I know the country is too, man. So again, thank you so much for coming on the program, and you're welcome back anytime. And hopefully, I'll have the opportunity to have you back, Craig.
Awesome. Look, I appreciate you having me on and amplifying the positive word, brother. And appreciated your friendship, and I look forward to getting back with you in Honor Cafe and having some more of that outstanding food there. Montgomery County, Texas, man. Home sweet home. All right, brother.
Guys, until
Proud
next
of you,
time
man.
for Tuesdays with Tally, this is Brian Tally. Good night, Semper Fi, and God bless.